running this Massey Ferguson 135. As you can see, it hasn't been running in some time. The seller that we bought it from took the hood and the gas tank off. My dad and I are gonna see if we can get it running, what it will take to get it running, I should say. There's no if here, right?
Right, it will get running.
Sometimes there is, but we hope to get this tractor running. It has power steering and a loader. It has a lot of potential. We have the tractor in the shop. Now we're ready to work on it and see what needs to be done in order to get it running. We're gonna start with a compression test because we don't know if the engine's any good or not. That'll help us determine if we need to work outside the engine or inside the engine.
We did get some information from the seller when we bought it, and he did put new spark plugs in. That you can see Rachel's taking out new plugs. He said he put in points. I asked him about the compression, he didn't know. The wiring here, he did help us out a little bit and told us what he's got going on here. This wire here, I have to temporarily snap this on. So I am gonna do that while Rachel's doing that. This is our power wire. The wiring is the next disaster to fix, but for now, there. That gives me power to my switch, so the tractor will roll over. And also, we've got a white wire coming down here that we know goes to the distributor. So we do know that much about this, but we're gonna find out about the compression right now. This tractor should have around 140. It's a 3-cylinder Perkins gas. Could have got this in a 4-cylinder Continental engine. This happens to be a 3-cylinder gas model.
Boy, can you reach that?
I can reach it.
Help me out.
Yeah, I got
Thank
you.
you.
All right.
So you can see I still have the spark plugs in cylinder number 2 and 3 here. Hopefully the battery has enough power to roll that over.
What are we getting?
Around 80.
Ooh, we gotta have a little more than that.
There it goes. That's better. We got to 110.
Okay, over 100 is my goal. We need to get over 100 and the tractor should start. So
Yeah.
let's say that that's good for now.
Okay.
And we have compression. What we're checking is to make sure that a valve is not stuck open. This tractor's set. And if there was a valve stuck open in here,
Yep.
it would be hissing. We didn't hear it hissing.
Right.
And if we did hear it, 100. So we're gonna say that's good. Spark plugs,
They're the right ones. I checked.
good. Okay. So now leave that one out for a minute, Rachel. Let's hook it to the wire right
Oh
here.
yeah, that'd be a good idea.
Yeah, let's just check our spark. We know the customer put points in it, but we don't know if he's got them working. So
Just a minute.
a couple ways of checking that. Here, Rachel's got, let's
Let me hook this one back up.
here. We laid the spark plug up here because we don't want to hold on to it. Hopefully you can see this if I turn it that way a little bit. We're gonna look for a nice blue spark right there. Key's gonna be on, make sure the tractor's in neutral.
Yep.
And Rachel, I can't see it from
I
here.
can.
All right, here we go.
Yeah, I see it sparking. Looks
All
good
right.
to me.
All right, so now we have the number 1 spark plug out of the hole. Leave it right there. Put up fingers up there, and it's gonna puff, poof, poof, every time we come to the power stroke. And what Rachel's looking for is every time her finger goes poof, poof, there better be a spark. And that's a static time. We're just looking to see if this tractor's somewhat in time.
Yep.
So I'm gonna roll it over. You watch that and tell me.
My finger is not sealing the spark plug hole. It's just resting there so that I can feel the air or the compression.
Don't put your finger down in the hole. That would not be a good idea.
That's good.
Looks like we're in time?
Yes.
Okay, so we know we're in time.
Let me get a screwdriver and pop
We have
that cap
spark,
off.
and now we're gonna pop under the cap here. We know the points are good because we have good blue spark here, and we know that the distributor is in time. We know that, so we've got that. So now Rachel's popping the cap off here, and we're gonna look right there. We're gonna see the rotor, and we're gonna see that. So I'm gonna roll it over, and we're gonna check it which way the rotation goes, because this tractor, I think, is reversed. It is counterclockwise.
Counterclockwise,
This
okay.
is really something to pay attention to, counterclockwise. So stick the cap back on there, and go ahead and screw it down. It's nice, you put little anti-seize on the threads on the spark plug so they screw in and screw out easy and we aren't damaging the head or the threads, because we've had this out a couple times here. All right. I feel like I'm not doing anything, you're doing all the work here, Rachel.
Okay.
Okay, now we got number 1 One back in, and we know number one is hitting because Rachel had the spark and she's spun it around there.
Let me tighten the cap.
She's gonna put the cap back on. It'll take us just a minute here. So
Why
now
don't
we
you-
know.
Why don't you talk about what we know about the coil?
Okay, so we know the coil is good. Now, not necessarily the coil would be bad if we rolled it over and we didn't have spark. There's still things involved. The coil only works when the points open and close to give us a spark every time. So we go check the points, but we jump past that, put the spark plug up here, because we're trying to triage this. So now, you know that it's reverse rotation. Go ahead and start with number one, Rachel. I can't get it from here.
One, two, that's the coil.
Yep.
2.
Look at there. We have discovered why it will not start. This is a real common problem right here, folks, is you have to pay attention. Some tractors have counter rotation and some have clockwise.
Even Massey Ferguson 135s.
Yes, because this could have had a Continental engine. This has a Perkins engine in it.
Yeah.
And so we see that in Ford.
Yeah.
Side distributor 8-in,
So-
reverse rotation.
Let me grab my phone. Like if I just Google what is the firing order for a Massey Ferguson 135, like this is what people are going to do if they don't have this memorized, right?
Right. Pick up your phone, you're going to Google this. And it's
Okay,
gonna give you.
let's type this in. What is the firing order for Massey 135? 3-cylinder. It says usually number 1 is towards the front radiator unless someone changed it.
One.
That's
Yeah. How can you-
always number
yeah.
1.
One is always the first cylinder.
1, 2, 3 is what it says. But look at this whole article.
Nowhere does it say anything
Yeah,
about reverse
doesn't say
rotation.
anything about clockwise or counterclockwise. Like that's just the first thing that I pull up. So just, this is a caution to be careful what you Google and reference a repair manual, because a repair manual would specify clockwise or counterclockwise. And really for the person who is working on this, that can be quite dangerous.
Yes, it can.
To be rolling a tractor around.
And having it backfire, and this has no air cleaner on it, so the fire is gonna come right out the face of the carburetor, right here in front of your face.
Scare somebody.
And scare somebody.
Yeah.
And this is a thing where this guy has bought a lot of parts. He bought a coil, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
points, condenser, bought new spark plugs. And the thing that really throws him off is number one is number one
Right.
in reverse rotation or counter rotation, still number one.
Right.
But you gotta go in the right order and
Yeah.
get 1, 2, 3
Yeah.
in reverse rotation.
Yeah.
What a shame. Now
So
this tractor.
whatever tractor you're working on, always look at the manual and look for the firing order. You know, on a 4-cylinder, your firing order might be 1, 2, 4, 3 or something like that. So, you know, we could also show how to determine where number 1 is.
Yeah,
I could pop that off and show it.
let's do that.
Okay.
So if you don't know where number one is on this cap, because obviously it doesn't have a number one stamped on it, because it, you know, it'd be
Yeah.
very difficult to do that. So Rachel's making a very good point here. Which one of those is number one? You need a spark
Sometimes-
plug wrench. You're gonna have to take a spark plug.
Sometimes like a cap will say 1, 2, 3 on it.
And it really throws people
That
off.
really
That's terrible. They don't do that
is
very much
confusing.
anymore. All right,
Okay.
so I'm taking the number one spark plug back out of the cylinder here.
Now,
Rachel is going to put her finger.
Before I had that thought,
Yeah.
I started to say, always follow your manual, because that's going to help you know counterclockwise or clockwise and what the firing order is, because it's different for every model of tractor. So anyways, I'm going to go back to putting my finger over the hole, and what I'm going to do now is when I feel the puff of air, that's going to tell me that this cylinder should be pointing on the rotor, should be pointing to where the number one wire is. So on this cap, the number one wire is right here. So when the rotor points, this is the point, this way, should be the same exact time that I feel the air here.
That's the power stroke. When you feel your hand compass, number one, top
Yeah.
dead center, is when it blows your finger out. So I'm going to roll it over several times. You're going to see Rachel's finger kind of poof, come out.
I'll try to
And-
emphasize it for you.
Yep, and we're going to see the rotor point
So
to
watch
our
here.
number one wire. Here
Yep,
we go.
yep. Okay, that's good. Yep,
right.
so now we know that he did have that correct. The number one is where it's supposed to be. So I'll put the cap back on, and then you're gonna always start with your number one, where the rotor points when you feel the puff of air, and then you follow your firing order around. So we've got the 2, and then this wire right here goes back to number 3. So I'm gonna put this all back together, and then we're good on spark.
And the timing now is correct with the right firing order, so we're going to go ahead and try to get it started.
We'll move on to gas. compression, spark, and gas should be good to go.
We're gonna put a temporary fuel tank on this tractor because we don't wanna put the big tank on top. We're still trying to get the tractor to run.
Can you hold that?
So, yeah, super. So Rachel's gonna hold that. The old vice grips is gonna come in here.
Some people will use a temporary tank off of a rototiller or any sort of equipment. We use this temporary gas tank all the time. It's very handy. Put that right where now I can't see the carburetor.
Okay, sorry.
It's okay. Okay, we can get that in there. I'll tighten this up for you.
Okay. This little rototiller tank has started a lot of tractors.
We do have the gas tank for the tractor in the hood, but the seller was so kind to remove that for us already.
Yeah, made it a lot easier. All right, that's good. All right. Okay, we're gonna try to give it a start. We got timing right, we've got spark, and we did check the engine oil. When you buy a tractor like this, somebody could have took the oil out and not put it back
Seriously.
in. Seriously. So it has oil, and I am looking right at the oil pressure gauge, and I want to make sure when this engine starts up, the first thing I better see is oil pressure. So here we go.
Okay. There we go.
Oh, the oil pressure is right to the top of the gauge.
Good.
I don't see any blue smoke.
Good. 3 point?
Oh,
I see it coming up.
works.
Good. A lot of times when a tractor's been setting, we'll get it running, but then the next issue is the 3 point because 3 point doesn't like to sit.
Yes, so the 3 point came right up, responded well. I heard the power steering actually trying to work.
Yeah.
So, it sounded good. No smoke, great oil pressure.
Yeah.
This is a good.
You know, one thing that we didn't talk about when we started was why you chose this red wire to get your power. Like sometimes people will buy a tractor and there's no battery.
Yes.
They're not sure how to hook it up. Could you talk through that a little bit?
Yes. So this tractor here is 12 volt from the factory. So these had a 12 volt system. So it's not like the older Fords that were 6 volt. So I pretty much knew that it was a 12 volt battery, and then it's going to be negative, ground, positive to the starter. And then this one, somebody's changed the ignition switch, and it just has a wire for S for start. I traced that wire over to the starter solenoid, and then one for ignition for coil. So it was pretty simple to use, just a simple tester, follow it down, add power to the switch, and it rolled over. And man, I'm so excited to see the oil pressure come up. That is awesome.
Okay. Sometimes if you buy a tractor that was originally 6 volt and you aren't sure if it's been converted, and even if it has been converted to 12 volt, did they switch to negative ground? That can be a lot more challenging. So if you're in that scenario, take your time and really figure out what's ground and what's
a 6 volt coil or a 12 volt coil. There's lots of variations.
That can be a little more challenging. This one was easy because we know it's all 12 volt.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Great.
Well, that was exciting. We got this tractor running. That was a simple fix. Normally we aren't that lucky.
No, and the hydraulics worked, so we didn't have to go any further.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Well, thanks for following along. I hope that was exciting to you, and that if you find yourself in this scenario, some of the triage steps that we did will help you also get your tractor running. We have lots of videos on our channel. If you are a Massey Ferguson enthusiast, we have a complete engine rebuild tutorial and a hydraulic tutorial, as well as we go into a little more detail on the distributor, a Delco distributor. Though our video is a 4-cylinder, a lot of the principles will apply to the 3-cylinder. And then we have videos on all other brands too, Farmall, John Deere, Ford, Allis-Chalmers, etc. So you can look for those on our channel and also hit the like and subscribe button as well. We'll see you next time.